So I wrote this script because at USC, you have this class, they call it the junior thesis class. It's labeled as a number 310. And it's the chance that everyone gets to direct. And they're like, okay, write a 5-page script. It can be about whatever, but certain limitations because you're a student. And I've always been a comedy maker. I've realized when coming to film school, it was like everything I made was to make people laugh. I grew up very Catholic. I still am Catholic, but growing up in the religion, I felt sort of uncomfortable because I didn't understand it, and then learning more about like the problems within like the Catholic Church. I found a lot of ways to poke fun at my religion, just sort of like make me feel better about it. And then I'd go and pray and be like, don't send me to hell, God. But it was a sort of way of coping with my Catholicism. And so when it was time to create this short film for my thesis class, I was toying around with these ideas of Bible salesman or maybe setting in a church. And I was like, you know what, Bible salesman? I was like, what if I just juxtapose like this, horrible like reality of, this really like Casanova characters, or this guy who can't control anything that comes out of his mouth, just like these dirty and grotesque images, especially later in the film with like the dead woman, just this dark situation with what's supposed to be very like evangelical, very light, very hopeful, and throw it together and see what the hell happens. And I had a lot of fun writing the script, juxtaposing these ideas, because often you see it in live, maybe not as dramatic as I had put it in my film, but to me it like gave me sort of this I don't know, it gave me this comedy, and I was like, you know what, this is fun. And the two actors who are in it, I use them in everything. So I was just writing with their voices in mind, how my friend is very nervous, very anxious, very much like me, and sometimes blurts out the wrong things at the wrong time. And my friend Jack, he's almost like his character. He's not a jerk or a Casanova, but he's very fast talking, very in your face. And so I was like, you know what, I want something fun. And writing it along the way, it was interesting because I went to the Catholic Center and I was like, can I borrow Bibles? And they're like, what for? And I was like, oh, a film I'm doing. And it was, they were like, what's it about? I was like, we just need it for a living room. I didn't like go into too much detail about it, but it's been interesting, like going throughout this process, seeing how like my relationship with like my religion has changed, and how I very much like poke fun at it to feel comfortable in it, if that makes sense at all. My biggest thing is, if you can't, I mean, obviously you have to pay fees, but if you can, just apply where you can, because you never know who's going to say yes. You might be afraid, I don't want to apply to this certain film festival because they're too grand, they're too big. They could say no, but they could say yes. So I think you need to like take that chance and just have the confidence and love for your film. This is gonna sound really silly, but just watching funny things is something as silly and stupid as SpongeBob, and making my friends laugh, because I think as soon as I started making people laugh and knowing something that I was good at, sort of like using it as this escape, not only for myself, but for others, to bring others that joy. I mean, it almost became an obsession where I just want to chase that feeling of joy and happiness. So I think years and years after just doing that, and even just being around friends and trying everything I can. I also do sketch comedy to, just try to make people laugh and try to make this sort of dark world just a little bit brighter. I think that over the years has built my confidence, because to me, it's like, I don't think I want to do anything else. I truly want to make people laugh for the rest of my life.
Our next client is my favorite customer, Gladys, remember? Mm-hmm. She buys a new Bible every time I come around. She's crazy about me. God, I mean, she is dynamite.
Isn't she 80?
Not a word. Stick to the rules.